Order. I call the honourable member Kevin Haig.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. November 26th, of course, marks election day for us, and I want to talk about an anniversary that will occur 1 week before that, on the 19th of November, and that will be the anniversary of the first explosion in the Pike River coal mine. From my kitchen window, sir, I look out to a view of the Paparoa Mountains, conscious every day of the 29 men who still lie underneath those mountains, entombed in the mine, and conscious of the efforts that still need to be made to recover the bodies and remains of those men in order for their families to find some kind of closure, in order for my community, the West Coast community, to reach some sort of closure. And so I reflect on the sad history here, and I referred to some of that in question time today, of Pike River mine management in December being told that it was politically unacceptable to refer to recovery, and being given the impression that recovery was no longer on the agenda, being given only half of the resources required for a recovery operation. And so that evidence before the Commission is given further credence by Government's decision in January to transfer responsibility for the mine from the police to the receiver. And the receiver, of course, is bound by some strict statutory rules that require him to work in the interest of shareholders, meaning that recovery of bodies would occur only incidental to a commercial decision to reopen that mine. Now, clearly, the government has rethought that, and I pay tribute to Bernie Monk and to the Pike River families for having achieved that rethink on government's part. The government has indicated it may well tag the mining licence to require the recovery of bodies if that's acceptable, and it may well contribute to funding the cost of that recovery operation. And so I give notice to the government that I will be looking at the small print in those undertakings, because it seems to me, sir, that given the track record, government may well look to escape from the commitments that the families believe have been made to them. One of the other issues is the issue of payment of creditors, and sir, there's been some progress on that front too. There has been a very belated and very partial payment to creditors. That's better, sir, than nothing, but it's still far short of adequate. It still needs further work. I want to praise the government for its action in establishing the Royal Commission of Inquiry and say, sir, that so far as I can see, and I have been present at around a third of the hearings so far, that the Royal Commission appears to be doing an extremely good job at its task of attempting to discover the causes of the disaster and related matters. And I don't want to canvass those same issues. I just want to express my deep sorrow that the government decided not to fund the Mines Rescue Service to be able to participate fully in that process. I believe that that's also indicative of government's attitude towards this issue. But I want to focus in particular on the issue of regulatory reform, and as this is the last general debate, one of our last sitting days here in this House in this 49th Parliament, I want to reflect on the particular courses I have been following in the House in question time. I believe, sir, that this disaster has demonstrated the inadequacy of our infrastructure for mine safety, and I praise the government for its action in instituting the High Hazards Unit. I believe there's still some progress to be made on reinstatement of check inspectors in mines, but the High Hazards Unit is a good start. But, sir, I believe that the government also needs to take action now on regulatory reform and not to wait until the Royal Commission reports. We've heard a catalogue of woes about this mine: inadequate drainage, unsafe drilling practices, unfamiliarity with mine layout by managers, inadequate evacuation drills, no fresh air base, and above all, this disastrous emergency exit that's impossible to use. The regulatory framework that has allowed those issues to develop in that mine is what guarantees safety in other mines.
I call the honourable member
Tēnā koe, Mr.
Paul
Speaker.
Quinn.